Today I want to talk to you about the DSM Humboldt Simplifier pedal. Basically, this is a 0-watt guitar amplifier, as is how they stated themselves. With this, you have a preamp section, you have a capsim section, and you have a power amp section. So basically, this is all you need to do like a hotel practice or whatever. You don't need an amp, you don't need pedals. However, you can run pedals in front of this. Over here on this side is the preamp section. This preamp consists of a treble, mid and bass knob. It also consists of a volume and a gain knob, as you would find on a normal guitar amp. Then here you can actually switch with this little switch. Either you want it to be a British Marshall kind of style, you want it to be an AC30, or a American Fender kind of style. In the middle you have the power amp section. Here you can choose which kind of tube kind of overdrive you want. You have 6L6s, EL34s and KD88 kind of tubes. The knob above it is the resonance knob and a presence knob. Presence knob is pretty much what it says. It makes everything a little bit brighter. You can also find this on your amp normally. And this resonance knob actually works like a kind of speaker damping, like it makes the low end sound a little bit more organic, I would say. Then on the far right side, there is the capsim section. Over here you can choose either a 1x12 capsim, a 4x12 or a 2x12. Then these knobs over here, these allow you to simulate the mic position. So it can either be completely off axis or it can be completely centered. There is one little thing that I don't like, which you can also hear later on, is the fact that when you switch between the amp styles, there is a huge volume drop between the AC30 and the American style amp, and then it goes back up with the British style amp. So you have to dial in that gain every single time again. In just a little bit, I'll show you how that works exactly. Let me just first show you the back here. These are the outputs. You have two XLR outs with a ground lift switch, and you have two jack outputs which can go to your amp or your amp effects loop, depending on how you have this wired. Then over here you have two little knobs, which correspond with the little text here on top, which says either out, left, right, or through or some mono. What that means is your complete left to right mix can go to your amp, or you can have it bypass the preamp section and everything. And you have a sum mono, which actually adds up both channels and sends it out to one mono output if you're using just one amplifier. Then on the bottom over here, on this side here, this is the input. There is a send, which can go to your effects, like your time-based effects, like reverb, delay. And then you have a stereo return loop. So you can actually have an effects loop within this little amp, which is amazing. The other two little holes over here, these inputs, one is actually an auxiliary in for either your phone or your laptop. The other one is your headphone output. And finally, let's just have a look at this switch on the side here. It says spread, and basically what this does, it works as a phase knob for your XLR output. So it basically sets one of the signals out of phase to give you a wider sound. Alright, so let's listen to some sound samples of me playing through my pedal board setup. Also, I have a direct signal of the intro, which I can send back into my pedal board so I can turn some knobs while that's playing so you can really hear what it's doing. So let's hear, without further ado, the DSM Humboldt Simplifier pedal. Let's talk about all the pros and cons that come with it. So a really major plus is I can use this as my amp. I don't have to bring an amp to my practice room. I can really just set it on my board, which is actually how I have it wired, and just bring my pedal board and my guitar to a gig. I'm not a huge fan of that, so I also use my amps, but for rehearsals it's perfect. It feels really sturdy, everything is made with good quality stuff, the knobs feel nice. Also, what's really nice is the little trim pod on the bottom for your headphones, and the fact that you can switch between so many different amp styles and cabinet setups really makes for a wide spectrum of sounds coming out of this straight into your interface. So for recording it's really great. So the Simplifier comes with a ton of different wiring options, which are all stated neatly on their website with very clear imaging. I'll bet there's something that fits your needs. Now, there is one thing that I wish that would have been possible, is that when you want to bypass the preamp section with the through knob, it doesn't include the effects. So what that means is I just want to hit my guitar in here, have all my effects and everything go to my amps, but I don't want it to hit this preamp section and the cap sim and all of that, because I found that it really changed my sound of my amps too much. Let me just read straight off their own website what that means. So it says left output switch through. This output bypasses completely the Simplifier, taking your signal straight from the preamp input. Okay, very useful for reamping purposes, or just to take your pedals in front, right to the input of your amp. That is what I would want, which is great. However, you can still approach all the three other outputs, great, to your preferred devices as a PA system, audio interfaces, FR monitor, etc, etc. And then there's just a little star beneath which states this bypass doesn't include the effects signal. If that bypass signal did include the effects loop signal, then everything would be great. Then you could have everything go direct to the XLR outputs and have all your effects, all your own preamp pedals hit your amp without the preamp section and the cap sim section on the Simplifier. Still a great unit. Those were all my thoughts on the Simplifier pedal. There's gonna be a complete tap of the entire solo in the intro, so if you like that, then you could consider following me on my Patreon page. Please let me know what you think about this video by leaving a comment down below.